जय श्री राम फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू भारत मार्ग। हमारा साथ जियो पॉलिटिकल एक्सपर्ट श्री डॉक्टर Adityanjee is with us, and thank you for joining us, and we are so excited on this day, Dr. Saab, to have you. Modi in Russia with Putin. Okay, America jealous, bold action, West का मन में क्या चल रहा है, इसके बारे में आपसे बात होगा. Friends, before going further, it's a grand event. Russia is humming and buzzing. Okay, it's like this is what Putin wanted there, and this is what it means. It's like match made in heaven. Okay, but Modi ji wanted the best event, and Putin wanted the best event. It cannot go better. But who can explain us better than Dr. Adityanjee himself? And we are going to discuss. But before going further, friends, please subscribe the channel Bharat Marg and also press the notification bell so that whenever we go live, you get informed, friends. And also, okay, don't forget to like this video, comment on the video, share the video, and ask any question you have. You can ask Dr. Adityanjee directly, friends. Okay, and we are involved in Sanskrit teaching. Okay, did you register for it? Because understand, if there is no Sanskrit, there is no Sanskriti, doston, there is no Bharat or Sanatan. Okay, we teach it for free. You can enroll your children, get benefited. Okay, and we are involved in a lot of good things. And if you like, please WhatsApp us and connect with us. And also we send out one dharmic message in every day in your mobile phone, okay, in multiple languages, Bharatiya languages. And if you are interested, please WhatsApp us to +16479644790 and stay connected to the roots of Sanatan Dharma. Friends, you know what? You can support us two ways: by sharing this video, by talking about and sharing our channel with as many people so that we can part of our Dharma Prachar. And also, don't forget, friends, you can also support us by donating to us. And if you are interested in donating, because we need it, and if you are interested in donating, here is our WhatsApp number. Connect with us and we will give you the link so that you can conveniently, in any mode you want, you can go and donate and support us so that we can go ahead and get involved in more prachar with your support. Dr. Adityanjee, welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you very much, Sundar Bhai, for inviting me on Bharat Marg. It's always a pleasure to come on your channel.
Absolutely.
Bring very challenging questions. So I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have you. It means you are absolutely a great personality in our show. There is no question about it. You add so much value because you bring in the knowledge of the world politics. Dr. Adityanjee, without getting further delay, let me ask you. It's like Russia is humming and buzzing right now. Okay, the event everywhere. It's like Diwali in Russia. Okay, the ISKCON people are excited. Once upon a time, there was a ISKCON Bhagavad Gita was banned, about to be banned in Russia, and Modi ji having private dinner and talking about world politics and economics with India and China, India and Russia, so many things. But the big brother is jealous. What do you say?
I would say Big Brother is not jealous, Big Brother is miffed. So, and I think this feeling distressed or miffed has gone on for a while, and now they've got used to it. So they've given up on Bharat sidelining Russia and totally be with the United States. Having said that, this is the 22nd annual head of the state visit with bilateral summit visit with Russia. The last time Mr. Modi was in Russia was in 2019 in Vladivostok. So it took 5 years, and there's a background to it. The last time Mr. Putin was in Bharat was in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That time it was supposed to be 1 day visit. It came to be only 6 hours.
Wow.
There are a lot of things, that happen. The optics of this today's meeting are very good. So Mr. Modi would be there for supposedly 2 days, but it will be only 1.5 days because he will continue on to Russia, from Russia to Austria. He was given a very warm welcome at the airport. The first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Monturo, came to receive him. And if you compare with the reception given to Chinese President Xi Jinping, this was an upgrade in protocol for Mr. Modi. So you have to see the comparison. And then you saw the visuals of Modi and Putin hugging each other and how warmly he was welcomed and had a state dinner. And Mr. Putin actually drove him around. So the optics are very good. Substantial discussions will happen tomorrow. Not just United States, but entire Western alliance has been miffed with India because India had been buying Russian oil while they sanctioned Russia because of the Ukraine war. India did not directly condemn Russia for the war. India took a neutral stance and said that war is not desirable. We need to use diplomacy for resolving the war, and we want peace. But by condemning Russia, you are actually isolating Russia, and that does not help. And at this point in time, Western world, including United States, has realized that Indian engagement with Russia actually benefits them. I'll tell you something very interesting. At this point in time, India is buying discounted oil from Russia. 40% of India's oil comes from Russia at this point in time. There are month-to-month variation based on the issue of sanctions, the foreign currency. At one point in time, Russia wanted India to purchase in yuan, and that was putting up around 2 to 3% overhead on Indian purchases despite the discount. Because when you pay by yuan, first Indian rupee had to be converted into Hong Kong dollar, and then Hong Kong dollar had to be converted into yuan. So Indian government was not very happy with it because we don't want to support yuan. China is an enemy country. So now Russia has agreed to do purchases in rupee terms and in UAE dirhams. And at one point in time, Russia stopped supplying oil because they had too much of Indian rupee in India, billions of dollars, which they could not repatriate because of the sanctions. So now the agreement has been that that money will be used by Russia to invest in Indian stock market.
That's a great deal for both the countries.
Yes, it's a win-win situation to invest in securities, stock market, and Indian infrastructure projects because we have a booming infrastructure growth all over India. New airports are being built, new roads are being built, so Russia can invest in that and earn some profits there. So Russia has realized that and they are working towards that. So all said and done, West has become accustomed to India purchasing oils from Russia despite
of course they purify it and send it to Europe too, so it is beneficial.
Well, that is the second step. That is the second step because 4 of Russian refineries have been bombed by Ukraine, so they are non-functional. So India is purchasing $60 billion worth of oil from Russia, and then Indian refineries purify it, and then part of it is exported back to Europe. So it is becoming part of the
because of the sanction, they cannot buy from them directly.
So it is a ridiculous situation because of the Western sanctions on Russia. It's an immature reaction, but in the process, Russia's economy is, despite the war, becoming cash surplus. Because they are selling the oil to Russia, to China and India and any other country.
And that is half of the world.
Yeah. India and China are the major customers at this point in time. But I also want to go into the background that, yes, the optics are very good for this visit. and the substantial bilateral talks will happen on Tuesday, that is tomorrow. Today was just the protocol issues and dinner and welcome ceremonies and Mr. Modi's engagement with the diaspora, Indian diaspora, all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship in India between India and Russia were not so good for last 2 3 years, because Russia was also miffed when India started engaging with United States. India became part of the Quad, and Quad was 3.0 was reactivated during Biden's presidency earlier. Russia was upset. In fact, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia,
Mm-hmm.
was miffed that India was, entering into an anti-China kind of alliance in Quad. And as a result of that, Russia started taking actions like courting Pakistan. They were trying to develop a kind of another Quad, which I called PRIC, PRIC. At that's an acronym, whatever people can think about it. But PRIC stood for Pakistan, Russia, Iran, and China. They were coming together as to counterbalance the quadrilateral security dialogue. So there has been a history, but India's support to Russia, India's refusal to condemn Russia for the war in Ukraine, India's uh, votes in the United Nations General Assembly as well as in Security Council, taking a neutral stance, I think has demonstrated to Russia that India is a friend. India is a true friend. So at this point in time, Mr. Putin and Russia are happy that India is not condemning them for the war. India is not joining the Western sanction regime. India is keeping the business as usual with Russia.
And Modi ji is one of the high profile world leader who is coming to
And
Russia.
Mr.
It's a big
Putin said
thing.
that India's foreign policy is independent, they have strategic autonomy, and they are not being intimidated by the West. Russia's goal is to transform the world geopolitics from unipolar to multipolar. And India also wants to have a multipolar world. It's not in India's interest to have either a unipolar world or a bipolar world, which China wants. China is the rising hegemon. So it is both in India and Russia's interest that the world is truly multipolar. India is working towards it. And the next point that I'm going to make, this war in Ukraine, forced isolation of Russia has created a situation in which Russia has become a junior partner of China, and they don't like it. They know how dangerous China is, but right now, since 2022, when Xi Jinping and Putin met in China, there's a no limit partnership, there's no limit alliance.
Hmm.
And of course, Russia is selling oil to China, but Russia is also selling advanced weapons to China. And that is a risk to strategic risk to India. And in the long run, it would be a strategic risk to Russia also, because China is very good at reverse engineering everything. Their fighter planes are reverse engineered
Mm-hmm.
from earlier Soviet fighter aircrafts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so China had a border conflict with Russia in 60s. China has a nascent claim on Russia's Far East. China is sending Han Chinese people into Russia's Far East. China has a nascent claim on Russian port city of Vladivostok. So they don't like all that, and they are being forced to get into the arms of China. And
Mm-hmm.
at this point in time, it is very, very important for India to engage Russia, improve the bilateral relationship with Russia. We have to increase our exports so that the trade is fair and balanced. Russia is supported, and in that process, Russia is not over dependent on China.
Absolutely, absolutely. But now you are Biden doesn't think too much. We saw in the debate. He just get frozen. But let us assume his handlers are thinking from the back end for him. This is after 8. Sometime he goes to sleep. It was said. Okay, so his handlers are thinking, what is going on in their mind? You think means they were using the Khalistani bogey to.
So let me try to clarify the United States situation.
Mhm,
A very significant section
mhm,
of the United States establishment, policy establishment,
mhm.
that includes the State Department, still has Cold War mentality. Although the Soviet Union was, dissolved or disintegrated or eliminated in 1991,
Mhm.
they have displaced the same kind of hostility towards the Russian Federation. And in some circles, some think tank circles, there was a talk about dismantling the Russian Federation into multiple smaller republics, just like they
They're
dismantled.
not happy with how much they broke yet.
Yeah. So they do not seem to realize that their main enemy is communist China, not Russia.
And Biden is not Reagan.
The thing is that this section of the US policy establishment includes the Democrat Party, who have innate hostility towards Russia. They will tolerate China, but they won't tolerate Russia.
But not the
That is
squad.
the historical baggage.
But not the squad. They don't say anything about Russia.
Well, I think if you look at the undercurrents, uh, this hostility has always been there. Uh, the Republican Party, whenever they are in power, they have been a little bit more pragmatic, and they were able to deal with, George Bush. He was able to deal with Putin, and he was able to deal with Russia. But anti-Russia feelings come when Democrat administrations are there because they still are reliving their experiences from the Cold War. And that is an emotional immaturity, failure to see the long term consequences of their actions, that long term consequences of their actions are leading to emergence of a monster, a Frankenstein's monster, which is communist China. Bill Clinton allowed free entry of China into the WTO.
Yeah, they pretty much put China on the lap of Russia, Russia in the lap of China, whatever the way you want to use it.
Yeah.
Okay, but
So it is an opportunity for Bharat to continue to maintain good relationship with Russia. Of course, we have what is called in jargon, diplomatic jargon, special and privileged strategic partnership with Russia. We have a
absolutely.
structured 2+2 dialogue with Russia. So these are the mechanism and institutions, but we have to also realize Russia is the only country which has supported India in United Nations Security Council. Russia is the only country that is helping India with nuclear power plants in Tamil Nadu, in Kundakulam.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and the whole Christian protest was mobilized by the American
Yes,
churches,
missionary groups and things like that.
right?
Russia is the only country that has supported India in the time of need. So there is no reason. We still get 40% of our military hardware from Russia. We have the S 400 anti missile ballistic missile batteries for India's ballistic missile defense from Russia. Two batteries were delivered, two are still pending. That is a $5.6 billion, you know, worth purchase. So we have to wait for that. We are having joint production of, Kalashnikov rifles along with Russia for the needs of Indian Army.
Absolutely. Brahmas.
BrahMos, uh, joint production. So we have a lot of projects going on. Some projects failed. The fifth generation fighter plane partnership failed because of Russian attitude. India paid the money, but the Russian side was not willing to share the data and not involving India's engineers into the actual planning and all. So after I think paying $8 or $10 billion, India withdrew from that project. And one of the things may be revival of the same project. The other thing that is going to take place tomorrow is what is called reloss. So it is reciprocal exchange of logistics agreements in maritime domain. We have reloss with the United States, we have reloss with France, we have reloss with Japan, we have reloss with Australia, we have reloss with UK. So to have reloss in maritime domain with Russia is good for Bharat because we want China to be curtailed in Indian Ocean region.
Mhm.
And we have reloss with Russia and some presence of Russian Navy in Indian Ocean region. That would be good for India because that will be a further check on China in Indian Ocean region. And it is a confidence building step. It's a
Absolutely.
mutual
Absolutely.
confidence.
Dr. Adityanjee, there is a thing that is going around from the reliable sources that the West was really pushing for this bilateral meet between Modi ji and Putin, because they felt that Modi can bring down the temperature on Ukraine and take the world back to normalcy.
So there will be some informal exchange on the war that is going on in Ukraine. But I can tell you, from my perspective, Bharat, that is India, has no skin in the game. The war that is happening is a tribal European war. And you know from the history, World War II and World War One, these were tribal European wars. Asian countries have no business to poke their nose in this war and take sides. Let them stew, okay, themselves.
And it is better for India.
Well,
Very crude to say, but
I won't say any war is better for India because you want peace and global stability for
yeah, we have to say like that. Yes,
for India. India is developing, building infrastructure, and also we don't want to be distracted by the war because war
absolutely.
has adverse consequences. You saw that Indian students had to be relocated.
And both Ukraine and Russia helped at that time.
Yeah, and there's something else that is going to be discussed tomorrow. That is deceptive recruitment of Indian citizens into combat role in this particular war. I think my understanding is that there are 52 Indian citizens who were deceptively recruited for initially for support jobs, but they were sent for combat duty. And I think two of them have already died. So it is India's effort to work with Russia to repatriate those people. I think if there is need for India's human resources to participate in Russia's economy,
Hmm.
that should be done on government to government basis, eliminating the unscrupulous, greedy private contractors or recruitment agents who, basically abuse these people who are looking for jobs elsewhere.
Absolutely. What if you are Zelensky? If you can wear his cap,
Hmm.
and you know what is going on in your mind right now?
Well, uh, first thing is that I'm not Zelensky. I don't hold him in high.
But Doctor Saab, you are
Like,
funny, so you must be a comedian like Zelensky.
so the guy is a comedian, and what this comedy he has done with his country. What a travesty. This guy is singularly responsible for devastation of his own country
Don't
because
say like that. He is a Times man of the match. Times
whatever
man.
he may be, but there is no democracy in Ukraine at this point in time. He was elected in 2019. His tenure was for 5 years. That ended in May of 2024. He is the chief martial law administrator since 2020 of Ukraine. Around 20% of the territory of Ukraine is gone. Infrastructure is destroyed. Population has been halved. Able bodied men are either fighting or are dead or have run away from Ukraine. What has he done to his country? By falling into Western trap, it was very simple to avoid the war by saying Ukraine will remain neutral territory. We will not ever join NATO.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But when you play games, you get hurt. So I don't think I can be Zelensky. But in G7 meeting, Zelensky did meet Prime Minister Modi in Italy and did have some discussion. So I'm pretty sure Mr. Modi will talk to Mr. Putin about the war. But we have to realize this is not just Ukraine Russia war. This is a NATO Russia war.
Absolutely.
Ukraine
Absolutely.
just happens to be the Kurukshetra. Mahabharata.
Absolutely.
Mahabharata war, Kauravas and Pandavas. So many kingdoms were
Involved.
invited to fight on both the sides. So it is Russia versus NATO war. It is an essentially a European tribal war. Europeans have penchant for war. They cannot live without war. They keep on creating warlike situation every now and then, and this is what they have created now from 2014 onwards in Ukraine.
Absolutely. That's a one more. I have a couple of questions for you. We are done. One more question regarding Ukraine. That is, now you see, France is pretty much they don't know who is getting majority, whatnot. Everybody it's in the limbo right now. Okay, UK of course got a guard change, and Biden in America, he is just hanging on to the chair. Nobody knows what is going to happen. Trump will become the president, or who will become Kamala Harris. Nobody knows what is going to happen now. What is the situation going to be for Ukraine like? They will be left for themselves to defend and die.
So this generally happens. The US support is not unconditional. When the money runs out or the resolve gets, broken down, they
If
run
Trump
away.
comes, he will not support, right?
They run away, like they ran away from Vietnam, like they ran away from Afghanistan, like they ran away from Iraq. So the very interesting observation that it took, uh, you know, four US presidents, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, or Barack Hussein Obama, if I may say so, Donald John Trump, and Joe Biden, for United States to transfer power from Taliban after 20 years back to Taliban and
And give all the missionaries everything for them, fund them fully.
trillions of dollars gone down the drain, and $86 billion worth of hardware, American military hardware, being left in Afghanistan.
If you can come a little bit on the other side, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes, perfect.
So, their policies are very myopic. Policies are not long thought. The policies are based on raw emotions rather than rational. Uh, and once the money runs out, and initially the money is used for the military industrial complex, because ultimately who benefits? The American arm manufacturing company, because they get all the orders. The money does not go to Ukraine. It goes
But,
to,
but Ukraine will survive or they will die. What do you think?
see,
Single question so that we can
Ukraine
finish it up.
as it existed in 2014 is no longer there. There will not be any peace till the government of Ukraine agrees to loss of territory, eastern Ukraine, the Donbass and Donetsk area. Crimea was already taken in 2014. There is no way Russia, after losing so much of men and so much of money and infrastructure, Russia is not going to agree to give that territory back to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be mutilated Ukraine. Almost 20 million people from Ukraine have fled the country. Are they going to come back? Their whole infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, is destroyed. So, what will be a rump Ukraine? That is anybody's guess. And I can tell you, even in European countries, there is increasing disdain and disgust for the war. And that is why you are seeing some changes in elections, local elections here and there all over Europe. And the fluid situation in US politics, does not let you predict who will be the next administration till we have the result.
Absolutely, absolutely. One question here, that is Congress. The Rahul Gandhi has slammed Modi for going to Russia and says, "You have so many things. I am in Manipur. See, I am in Manipur, taking care of the local situation, and you are running away from India to Russia." You know, what do you say?
Rahul Gandhi is a highly mature personality.
But he is winning.
No, he's not winning. He may have won a few seats in the Lok Sabha elections in the alliance, in the Dot alliance, and just because he won a few more seats in Lok Sabha, he has this delusion that he's born to govern India as a future prime minister.
You don't
But
take him seriously still.
the guy lacks intellectual depth. I can understand that the role of opposition is to oppose the government. When in the process of opposing the government and opposing the prime minister, you become anti-national and you start adopting policies, rhetoric, and support from anti-national elements, that's end of your role in nation building. So we have serious issues about this person. There's a lot of baggage. He's on bail actually from a case on corruption, National Herald case. He has been on bail from 2014 onwards, released on bail. So his statements are motivated statements. His critique is motivated critique. It does not hold any value.
Absolutely. That's my last question to you. Okay, what do you expect from this high in action, high in show Modi Putin meet in Russia? What do you expect the outcome to be of it? So to call it as a best meet and successful one. Last question, sir.
Look, as I said that the relationship was somewhat frayed. We did not have the annual summit, head of state summit, in 2022 or 2023. Putin did not come for G20 meeting last year. India did not have a live SCO conference last year. India was the president of SCO last year. So the
But
relation,
he didn't come because he didn't want to face the West. That's what was told.
we didn't want to face the Western leaders,
Yes.
but there was some uneasiness in the bilateral relationship starting from 2020. And this is after 5 years, Mr. Modi is visiting Russia.
And it is so much important, Dr. Sab. He is going as a first visit in the third term.
In the third term. So don't expect big announcements that India is going to buy this or India is going to buy that. The idea is to consolidate the bilateral relationship, express mutual confidence, build mutual confidence in the relationship, consolidate it, and it is also signal to two separate camps. One camp is the Western alliance that India will remain strategically autonomous and independent. When India used to complain to United States about US support for Pakistan while professing that they want friendship with India, US diplomats used to say international relations are not zero-sum game. Now Indian diplomats should be telling US diplomats that international relations are not zero-sum game. Just because we have good relations with you does not mean that we will downgrade our relationship with Russia.
Absolutely.
We are going to have both.
Uh-huh.
The other signal is, and that is very, very important, is going to China. That whatever may be the no-limit partnership between Russia and China, India and Russia have a special strategic relationship. And India would do everything to save Russia from going into the Chinese kiss of death.
Absolutely.
And that is very, very important. Yes, there will be some announcements, bilateral trade, petrochemicals, pharmaceuticals being exported from India, maybe some other luxury goods. It's a good opportunity for us to balance the trade because it is heavily in Russia's favor. But besides that, India can contribute to human resources, needs of Russia, because Russia is short on human resources, especially in Russian Far East. We can provide, factory workers, professionals, services, things India is good at. India can, fast moving consumer goods, because Russia is not able to purchase from West. Indian brands are coming up. India can sell those things. So there is an opening here to consolidate this relationship and leave the hurt feelings on part of Russia that India joined Quad. India has joined Quad. India is part of G7, but India is also part of BRICS.
Absolutely.
India is part of SCO. India is a part of RIC. So India, in an emerging multipolar world, is the ultimate balancer. Putin knows this. And I'm very happy to say, United States establishment is gradually coming to realization that India is the ultimate balancer. They will not be in one camp. They will not be anybody's camp follower. They will follow the policy of India first and good relations with everyone.
Absolutely. This is only one last question here. Okay, that is always the American and the West has been pushing the Khalistani bogey, are saying there is no democracy in India, the democracy bogey. Do you think this one will throw stones on their face?
Look, I don't expect the American US establishment to change overnight. They are not going to do that. State Department has layers and layers of organizations, USCIARF, Ambassador at Large for Religious Freedom. The mainstream press in United States is very much anti-India, whether it is Washington Post, whether it is New York Times, whether it is CNN. They're all anti-India. They've thrived on anti-India feelings since Cold War onwards. and somehow this racial arrogance of the white man that they cannot see a Hindu, a brown India to emerge as one of the major players. That is the real, problem in the West. West is not willing to give India its place in the Committee of the Nations, and that creates problems. So that is not going to disappear. They will continue to encourage not only Khalistani terrorists, but also continue to create problems in Kashmir and support jihadi terrorists. That is not going to go away immediately. And that's why India has to have a strong spine and basically say what Lord Palmerston said: there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies, there are permanent interests.
Absolutely.
He was a British statesman and twice British Prime Minister and British Foreign Secretary. But going to my Indian roots, there is a saying, and most probably Lord Palmerston translated that into English. And that saying is, Na kaschit kasya chinmitram, na kaschit kasya chidrapuhu, Devarena jayante mitrani rupavastatha. So there are no permanent friends. Na kaschit kasya chinmitram, na kaschit kasya chidrapuhu. Nobody is forever your enemy. Vyavaharena jayante. It's your own behavior that determines who is your friend and who is your enemy.
Wow.
So Western Alliance needs to do self-introspection, do self-psychoanalysis, and see where they failed. Where they failed independent democratic India from 1947 onwards. How their own policies by courting Pakistan led to India getting estranged from the Western Alliance because their agenda was colonialism by any other name.
Absolutely. Doctor, thank you very much for pouring your heart like you always do. What an incredible way to say the people what exactly happening from Russia. Thank you, Dr. Saab, and I will request the friends to give your comment. Do you agree with Dr. Adityanjee? You have anything to say? Do comment and let us know. It was a fabulous show. Thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you again, Dr. Saab. Till then, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram.
Thank you very much indeed for inviting me on your show, Sundar Bhai.
Hare Krishna. Friends, do comment and let us know what is your opinion. Modi ji's trip, you think it's a grand success? What is your expectation? Do comment and let us know. Do you agree with Dr. Adityanjee? Let us know also. And looking forward to seeing you again.